designated public information coordinator as we're supposed to with the Public Information Act. I suggest we appoint Sonny to that position.
What exactly is this? I mean, I've never heard of it.
It's.
I've never heard of. This is the first time I've ever heard anything about it.
There always has to be that certain fall person in case the information's not given out, and that's all entities are companies that are liable under the Public Information Act is supposed to have a coordinator. In our office, we've all been doing it, but nobody is actually labeled as the personal coordinator. So it just gives a buck stops here.
Exactly when did this? Has this always been there? Because we've never had this on the agenda anywhere.
No, this is the first time it's on the agenda.
Well, all the years I've been here, we have never even seen. Is this something that just came up, or is this something that should have always been there?
It should have always been.
I think Tammy and Vanessa are both trained in it now. I think there's always been someone trained in it, but we've never designated someone to handle it.
But this has come about. It's coming on the agenda now because y'all just went to that public information. What was that seminar y'all just went to?
The finance.
Finance, okay.
Yeah. That was covered in it, though.
Okay.
This is actually supposed to be, we should have done this last time we did, was left off. So, we just not. Thank you. I believe now all of the office has because Vanessa and Tammy took it. And Tammy's office also took
the public information and the open records.
Open meetings stuff. And
I've taken both of them all the time. It's been a couple of years, but I took it again a month ago or so.
Well, I understand that, like I said, Sonny should be, that and everything, but would it not be more like to give it to somebody else? Since he does have so much that he does, or
well, he's
is
been
that
doing
just,
this anyway.
That's anyway? Okay.
It's just formalizing it.
Okay. Okay.
Any further discussion? Is there a nominate or a motion to do motion to appoint Sonny as a public information coordinator? Stephanie makes the motion. Is there a second? Julie seconds the motion. All for, raise your hand. All opposed? Motion carries. Aspermont Housing Authority. 3 terms have expired.
On this deal here, it says 2014. Is that the correct date, or is that?
Yes.
So they still got another year before their term's up.
That's when this current term will expire, is the way I understand it.
When we select them tonight, this is when it will expire.
That's the way I understood it.
The ones that are appointed tonight will be the ones that will take over after these are
These 3 individuals are already on it.
They're
right,
just going to
but they expired 2014.
Yes, they're elected tonight. If we choose to make them.
If that's who she's happy with, yeah.
I haven't received any negative comment on it.
I know nothing really about her board. She said if Janice is happy with these people, then, and she didn't nominate anybody else, I make the motion we accept them.
The only gripe I've heard about the board is there was one family that went up there. If they got burned out of their house, they wouldn't let them have the house. They wouldn't let them move in.
Yeah, but there's a reason for that.
Well, there's
I mean, there's a lot of, you know.
But they have to go through an application process, right?
Right.
I mean, I don't
Yes.
know the system.
They do have to go through an application process. And there was, I mean, I don't understand how she can deny them, but there was reasons, and because they went as far as above Janice's head. And then people come back to Janice and said it was what she decided because of the way they had lived in the house before.
Well, that's the only gripe I've heard about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Things went wrong.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All for it, please raise your hand. All opposed? Motion carries. Ready? The next, we have board here from Stonewall County Water Control and Improvement District number 1.
I warned Ralph that we not really sure how knowledgeable everyone is about this particular board. So what I will take off on and what the buddy's going to take off after I kind of introduce the scenario. You know, we're certainly be open to any questions, and but our concern is that that maybe that y'all are not fully acquainted with what we are, what we do, what we provide. And so what I'd like to start off is that I think you can obviously see, Stanley's not here, Stanley Trammell's the other board member. We're all home guys, been here for a long time, and we recognize y'all's responsibility and y'all's load, and that we want to partnership with that, and that our main concern is for the community. And there was an agreement established long ago that this board be developed, and the city would fund it through a certain setup that Ralph's familiar with, and it's been functioning since 1952, which was another point that is probably important to bring up, is that in 52 there was a terrific drought. I was born that year.
So you're the cause of it, are you?
I don't recall right on 52 and stuff, but apparently it lingered on more beyond 52. But anyway, so a water situation, which we are all probably the prominent concern of our community. Anyway, it was established that the developer board that would the city would allow to operate separately from the city, and that the city would fund this thing through revenue from the water usage. And anyways, and what it amounts to is a system set up so that we can provide that citizens of Stonewall County can have water. And through the years, there's been great strides in development of this. You know, obviously, it started off, we bought water from individual from rural, and we paid for it. Or we leased the land provided, but we had to pay them for water that we pumped out of there and stuff like that. Through the years and stuff, we have that privilege of being able to negotiate a deal and stuff, and eventually we bought some land adjoining his, and through that give us some leverage with him. Anyways, to make short story out of it, we acquired the land, mineral rights and water rights and stuff, and so now where our water comes from is fully owned by this board here, and it has been fully set up and pipeline established. And so we furnish water over to this point, you know. What we don't do is the maintenance and services on it, but any sort of stuff that needs to be bought or large purchases and stuff is through this deal. And what has kind of been, I don't know if you call it a trend, but through the years, there's been highs and lows. There's been times when the city was doing well and there was lots of money thrown in the direction of this board, and it was at one time, you know, we even invested in drawing some good revenue, and then there's became points of times where there wasn't, well, maybe there wasn't a great need for it because maybe there was a sufficient amount, or what we considered it was all right, and the city was at a low point, and there's been times of payment and non-payment. And what we've just experienced through the period of our troubles where we challenged the law on Haskell taxing the water that Haskell County taxing the water stuff, through a period there and stuff where that was expensive for the city and stuff like that, we stopped getting payments or any revenue from the city and stuff like that. And that has progressed up till today. Buddy will give you a little bit more dates and stuff like that on that stuff. But anyways, what we want y'all to recognize tonight is that there is a need for what we do. Everything that has been developed to get the water over here, aside from the tap on Miller Creek, has been through this board. And I'm not just saying us, I mean many before us since the 50s and stuff like that. But our purpose is to furnish water over here to Stonewall County. Our primary purpose. So we have no other expenditures. They're so minimal that they're almost non-existent. And so we, as a board, we look at this and try to determine, you know, from past experiences what things cost. And nearly everything we've done has been, you know, pretty heavy on the dollar side to get done and stuff like that. And so we have, through the years of being able to look through our expenditures, what comes in, where we sit as money in accounts and stuff like that, we have an idea of what we feel is a comfort zone for the city, for us to have as available money to handle repairs, search for new water, what that might be, you know, whatever that might be. And of course, a lot of our information is going to come through the city, through, you know, Sonny and working with the wells over there, condition of things as they are and stuff, pipeline between here and there and stuff like that. All of that will be, you know, hopefully a close contact between the two, and so that we can be aware of anything hopefully coming up in the future and stuff like that. But and we just wanted to represent tonight that you know, we've been quite a while now since we've received anything. And then, and that what we'd like to do is, like, you know, we'd like y'all to begin payment towards this board, organization, whatever you want to name this and stuff, because it's proved to be a real positive deal. But, you know, how well known, it's not something where we meet monthly or something like that. We generally meet as situations arises and that sort of thing. And what I'd like to do, if y'all can just give us a few more minutes and stuff like that. Buddy's going to give you a background on this thing that'll explain everything that I've kind of touched on. But I think it really is important that you understand what got developed back when and how we developed through the years. So I'll turn it over to Buddy.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, may I stand?
You may.
Okay. What mine is basically an informative thing for the city council. Are you all aware that the city of Aspermont does not own any part of the water gathering system in rural or northwest rural over there? The land, the wells, the pipeline, or anything, they own none of that. That's all owned by the Stonewall County Water Control District #1. In 1952, the Commissioners Court met, and we were, like he said, we were having a very bad drought at that time. And the only source of water we had was beautiful Lake Sellers. It got so bad that the city put a tank truck, or got a tank truck, and put behind the old Bryant Lake. Most of you don't even remember what that was, but some of us do. You could go take your can or your bottle or your water sack or whatever and get drinking water. When you ran a tub full of water, you might get a crawdad or you might get a minnow or whatever else. It was bad. It stunk. So the commissioners met, and there were several citizens with them at that time, and formed a water district with the approval of Austin. Several men were elected to the first board that we had. They in turn issued bonds in the amount of $390,000. They obtained a water source from the Morgan family, Mr. and Ms. Morgan, fine old people. Drilled the wells, laid the pipeline. The pipeline is an 8-inch cast iron unless it's been replaced with PVC. Cost $15,000 a mile to do. Got water to this tank that's right out here. That board has continued down the line. We have the ability to tax. We don't want that. We don't want to be in the operation of this. For that reason, the city council and the water district board met February the 27th in 1954 and came to an agreement. It goes on just like the Constitution of the United States. It's a continuation thing, which reads this part, if you will. The city will pay district a minimum charge of $1,400 monthly for 3,500,000 gallons of water. I believe we use like 7 or better now. Is that right?
6 or better. Okay. Six right now.
Water taken in excess of the above gallons, a charge of 5 cents per thousand. In addition, the city agrees to take over the facilities of the district for the purpose of operating and maintaining the same, and will pay all costs and expenses for such operation and maintenance. That was signed by N.E. Peck Springer, Jim Robertson, Ralph Riddle, Mayor. That's still in force. And that's what we're here actually. Had the board, when I went on this thing about 15 or 20 years ago, whatever it was, W.D. Ellison was on it, Oscar Dickerson, George Fraser was the treasurer, Donnie, and I was elected myself. George Fraser promised me that if I'd run for the board, there was nothing to do. Meet one time a year. When I got on there, the mayor said, "Do you know what trouble we're in?" And I said, "Oh, well, you got to be kidding." He said, "No. We have 1 year left on this 40-year agreement." It wasn't a contract, it was an agreement with Morgan that we'd pay him $150 a month, which was horrible. Should have been paying him a whole lot more than that. George Morgan, his son, Mr. Morgan had passed away, and George Morgan came to the board and said, when that agreement is over, you're going to pay $1 a thousand for untreated water at the wellhead, which in a 40-year period, consumption at that time would have amounted to $1.4 million. We had probably $350,000, $400,000 at that time. Ron Calkins took me over and introduced me to a farmer over there that had a water well and all of this stuff. He said, "I promise you guys you won't go thirsty, but you need to talk to Elvin Kinney. He owns 102 acres east." And we went over there that day, Sunday. And I talked to Elvin several times, he and his wife, Minnie Pearl. Great people. We negotiated with him and finally bought his land for $75,000. I know that sounds like a lot of money, but for the purpose and what we were getting for it, it was dirt cheap. We drilled a well, put it online, and this brought George Morgan, to the table. He called me one night in my house and said, "When are you going to buy our land?" Didn't know we were. He said, "Well, you bought Kenny's." I said, "Well, were you willing to sell this land?" I said, "Would you take $80,000? And I didn't have any authority, believe me. I was out on a limb. He said, "I might." Short story, they did. So we own the land, both 204 acres over there, the water wells, and the whole thing. Now, had we not had, the well we drilled was like $90,000. Now, I don't think you can go to any lending agency and say, "Would you give me a blank check for $300,000 where I can go negotiate?" No, they won't do that, will you? I didn't think so. But we had the money, so it gave us some leverage, so we could go over and say, "We need to buy you land. And we need the water, we need this, that, and the other." So we were able to do it. We did it. Shortly after that, there was a huge water leak over there. You cross the river going to Rue, back north of the red barn that's there. This thing broke out in a seep, a waddy or whatever. The city guys worked 28 hours on Thanksgiving, driving pipe and putting up plywood and fixing the leak that was in that pipe. Well, that wasn't going to work, so here we go again. You've got to have engineers. You got to have engineers to do anything with the city entity, for water. So we contacted them, and then in the end zone, it was we laid a line up and above and back around. That was $70,000. There again, we had the money. When this old tank out here, the gathering system, was getting real bad, they came to us and said, "Would you help us put a tank out there?" And we did. I don't know how much that was, but we had the money. Now then, you're putting an old well back on, and we're helping with that. I understand. We've spent something like 20.
You'll end up spending almost 50,000, wasn't that the budget?
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Somewhere, that's what I've heard in the past.
21 so far.
Had we not been paid and had this money, and like Donnie told you a while ago, we have no expenses. The only thing we have is like $250 a year for insurance for liability on the board to keep us from being sued. All of you got that. So. But that's what we're here for tonight, and I'll sit down, is to see if you're willing to start paying us again. After we spent all of this money, we had let the city stop paying us when we had this kind of money because we didn't foresee anything until this thing came up. After we spent all of this money, they started paying us $2,000 a month. Well, when your lawsuits started and whatnot, we stopped again because you were getting into our need of money. But now then, we have spent a whole lot of money. And we consider we need to have some cash, some money, in case. It's our job as a water district to find you water, drill the wells, and supply this tank out here with water. That's what we're for. Other than that, the water district and the city have no relationship whatsoever other than the fact that we produce the water and you pay for it sometimes. So that's what we're here for. Thank you. Any questions?
Just kind of blown out of the water. I didn't know all that.
Well,
I mean,
I don't think anybody.
I didn't know none of that.
I don't think a tenth of the people in Aspermont know there is a water board, a water district. I didn't know it.
I didn't have a clue, and
So I think that's what.
I don't think it's ever. I've been here 4 years. I've never had it. It never came up.
You thought you owned the well, didn't you?
I did. I thought the city did. I mean, I seriously did.
Well, basically, we're all doing the same thing.
Well,
we're furnishing the water, but it's two separate entities. We were set up by the commissioner, the Stonewall County Commissioners. We're not related to the city or anything else. We're recognized, and that's what we do behind the scenes. Thank you.
What the money we have in our account is a backup. Anything goes wrong, we've got the money. We don't have to go hurt. City don't have to go hunt for money. We've got, so we can do what needs to be done.
But we have to be recouped on that.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, what kind of payment was y'all kind of back where it was at before? Or?
Well, I don't know your financial situation right now, sir. All I know is what this says is $1,400 plus 2%, 5 cents per thousand, which on 3.5 million above your 3.5 million, which would be 7 million, that would be like $175, $180 a month. Not that much. But we're looking at $1,400, $1,500, $1,600 by the agreement. Now, if you give us more, we'll be glad to take it, but we sit on it. We don't spend it. We do not spend the money. There's no expense on us at all. We don't get paid. We don't do anything. We just sit on that money and put it in Ralph's bank and draw it at 10% interest.
You know, and I don't think we want to be in the position of being greedy.
No.
So, you know, once we hit a plateau of money to where it at least takes care of things that we've seen come up before. There's always something new that you're going to get caught and you're not going to have enough money for. I mean, there's no way to put a limit on that. But, you know, the zone where, like I say, where Buddy had the flexibility to negotiate, buying land and stuff like that, he's already told you, you know, we were sitting at about $350,000 to $400,000, which I don't know how comfortable that zone is now, but we're nowhere near that now. So, you know, and that's just what I want to express to you. We're only limited to our funds. We're only as good as the money will go, and so that. You know, and what I'm saying in this is that, you know, that I don't think that we would be greedy. Once we got to a zone and y'all was hurting, you know, I think, you know, we could sit for, I don't know if that would be something that would be a smart thing to do, but I mean, you know, if you're absolutely in a crunch or something like that and we're sitting good, we don't want to bleed you dry.
That's what's been happening. That's what happened over 2 years.
Right. And so, you know, we want to work with you. You know, we want communication open between the two deals. But I mean, but we do have this thought just from what's went on in the past, and we were able to look through this and stuff. And then when you figure in inflation and the cost of things of getting things done now, you know, I'm sure that's exaggerated from our last experiences and stuff like that. So, you know, I mean, that's just, we would like to be able to function as needed. And nobody just really knows on that, but, you know, that's, you know, what we have to kind of live with. If we've guessed it wrong, so be it and stuff like that. But not that, you know, that we won't put y'all in jeopardy or something like that, but that you know and that you believe that it's a good thing.
Now, as a water board, you also have some special privileges from the state, right? You've given, I know when we won the lawsuit with the other water district, they had a lot of lobbyists and they were able to go to Austin and really push some things through against small cities.
Different kind of board.
Different kind of board? Okay, that was my question, is, you know, what leverage did you have with the legislature to help us, poor little county?
Really none that I know of.
Doesn't help that on that one.
I know when this was all going on and people in Pickens had the water rights in the Panhandle, and he was going to sell it all around. So the legislative to stop him, now I don't know if it was a personal deal, I have no idea. But they said you can charge 17 cents a thousand for exported water. Haskell grabbed this, and it's their right to do so. And they were going to charge us 17 cents a thousand Steve Hofer was their lawyer. I knew Steve, he was one of my customers, but he was their lawyer. And we met as a board, we met that night with some of the city council members, and they said, well, they're suing us, they ought to be suing the board. I said, great, let us have it, and we'll pay them 17 cents a thousand and charge you 25. Well, they didn't like that at all, and I'm not being derogatory at all. I mean, it's all they were doing right. So we're in the background, Billy, on all of this. Like I said, nobody even knows we exist. We're not a super secret outfit. We just don't meet very often, and we're not in the public. From now on, we will post an agenda anytime we meet. But
And we had an opinion on that particular situation where they did not pay, according to the law, of what Haskell charged us. And we came to the board on 2 different occasions. I don't know if you call the word pleading, but at least expressing ourselves that we think that they need to go ahead and pay and fight this thing.
That's what I heard.
And it just didn't get done, and so, and even later, as the funds disappeared through the city, they came to us wanting money. Well, that's just not what we do, and it didn't make good sense for us to pay lawyers, and so, and plus, if they had allowed us to handle the deal, we wouldn't have the problem in the first place. And so, they could still battle it and still been making peace with Haskell, but we just didn't get the response that this board felt like, needed to be done. And so that's kind of where we're at.
Thank you, guys, I appreciate the information.
Yeah.
You want to address that or a little bit?
Yeah, you want me to try?
If you would like, go ahead.
All right.
we're not asking that you decide tonight, Ralph. I'm sorry.
Well, we have to.
Well, we're going to discuss, we've got it, we're prepared to discuss it, and so if it's all right with y'all,
No.
Y'all planned this just right, this is our budget planning time.
Well, it's just a happenstance, Billy, I promise.
In our budget that we'll discuss later in greater detail, we've budgeted our water sales and also 17 cents that we have to pay Rolling Plains. And we've also budgeted 17 cents for the water board here. What are our water sales for next year? We have no idea what they're going to be. So we're being extremely conservative. This first budget that we have before you, it's only estimating it's going to pay them $1,000 a month. If there are other areas in the budget later on that we want to work on, we can increase that. But we have put it in the budget. It's just what amount this council wants to pay them. If they want to pay them, I recommend we start paying them.
Yeah,
What amount we can.
any type of help they can give us, I mean, I agree. Like I said, that's a thing I don't know nothing about.
That line item 6100 it's labeled cost of water, which is Rolling Plains and Stonewall County.
Okay.
Every figure that's on the budget right now is based off 6 million gallons. That's what it's based off. Everything is 6 million gallons. If we pump more water, more than 6 million gallons out of the wells, the amount goes up. But when we pump more out of the wells, the amount for Rolling Plains also increases as well. So that figure is for 6 million, and but the budget amount that is placed there is whether we pump 6 million or if we pump 2 million. The amount is the same. And on the other parts of the budget, when we go through it here a little bit and kind of get on parts, there's places where we can take and try to get them that $2,000. But budget line item wise, it's about 1,500, close to that part, because Rolling Plains will get their other. And that was closer to probably what you
What we're
wanted.
looking at, yes.
But in reality, budget-wise on paper, at this point, you have to take that 24,480 and divide it by 2, and that is the budget amount that I budgeted in the budget to give them every month, whether we use 1 gallon or whatever, for budget purposes.
So right now, you're proposing that we give them $1,000 a month. Is that what you're proposing? Right
Really, I
now?
don't think we need to take any action on it until we get to the budget.
Okay,
And
okay.
if everybody's in agreement that we need to start funding them again, we will work on our budget and find a way to make it happen.
I just wanted y'all to know that we are.
Yes, well,
We have placed it in our budget.
well, do we need to make a motion that we're going to?
Kind of looking at that 1,400, because that's actually the agreement.
Yes, sir.
What we made plus the 5 cents, 1,000, or whatever. I don't want to be hard, just like.
Is above the 350, 400 range to really be a good backup system, because $100,000 don't go very far when you start,
One
getting
well
into
would
some.
cost that or more.
Yeah, right.
So, and that's our responsibility, is to provide water to you.
And God forbid we have to lay it in the pipeline.
Right. We don't need that.
Any other discussion? Any questions for the? Stephanie, do you have any more questions or comments?
Oh, I'm sorry, no.
Well, we'll carry on. Thank you.
We appreciate y'all.
Yeah, thank y'all very much.
I'm gonna stay a while if it's all right.
Do that.
Well,
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all.
All right, now moving right along, EDC, IDC. Michael Dennis.
I think y'all just gotta look at it.
I brought y'all a new budget for the EDC, something I'm supposed to give to you. We increased our budget a little bit, and that's just because of the different buildings that we've received this past year through purchase or donation. We're gonna have to do some capital improvements. We're gonna have to buy a new air conditioner for the DMC building. That's gonna be a little over $4,000. So we've upped the EDC budget to around $71,325. This is all negotiable.
That's not part of mine, I'm gonna go home. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Council knows that the EDC, IDC came under budget as far as what we have to give them, under the general. Their figure is $97,500, they come under that with their budget.
This single page that y'all have, this receipt is, yeah. I think it's the third page. It is, it's the third page. Mark it like that up.
We were still working on it this morning.
Y'all would look at that, we have a public hearing and stuff next Monday, if you want to, make sure the R's.
That's at 5, you said next Monday, right?
The public
Your
hearing.
public hearing is.
We can table on approving the budget until Monday, approve it after we approve ours.
So the total expenditures you've got budgeted for the EDC is $71,325.
Yes, 325.
And then for the IDC, what's the total?
Yeah, you could run on here.
Well, you've got a budget, you don't have a, I don't know.
It's kind of hard to find.
Yeah, excuse me.
Oh, is it just 31?
No, it's 31,000, yes, the 17,300 is included in the 1,000. you is 31,446 is what right now our IDC budget is. Yes, that amount right there.
So the total,
Your total is a hundred and something thousand?
Is it now?
Yeah, so you went over.
Yeah, excuse us. We didn't realize that we had, I mean, that you had done the budget, one amount. I mean, the amount that we've increased the most on is our capital improvements on the EDC, and that's $12,000. So, you know, we might can come off of that.
You'll have to.
I guess we'll come off of that. The 9,700 on the land note, that also might be a little less. We have about a year left on that note. And that might be decreased a little bit. But, the $12,000 is what we would take off. So what do we need to?
well, I guess we need to pass our budget tonight and finalize everything and adjust yours accordingly.
Okay.
And then we'll put it on the agenda for Monday. And
You don't have to have yours passed till then either, right? Y'all have already approved.
We've approved what
Okay.
we've given y'all.
All right.
Both groups.
All we have to do is they'll have to amend theirs. I only base it on what our revenue is, and that's.
Right, it was around 97,000 is what we reviewed to, but
Okay.
we didn't look at both of them. We live and learn.
That's all right. Anything else you want to add while you're here?
No, the DMC building, the Double Mountain Coach building, we hope to move in October. And then our office at 612 South Washington will be being prepared for some type of retail. And we do have some people that are interested in it. We'll have more details later.
Motion table urban EDC IDC budget.
Make a motion, table it.
Mike makes a motion. Any seconds? All four, raise your hand. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Sustain.
All against?
Abstain.
Abstain, sorry,
And
abstain.
Stephanie abstains.
And y'all are through meeting, right?
Thank you.
See y'all later. Thank y'all.
All right. You will have a copy of the letter from Allied Waste Services.
There ain't,
letting us
I mean,
know
there's,
about a rate increase.
there's nothing we can do about it. I mean,
Every year like clockwork.
yeah, I mean, it's like clockwork, and there's not a thing in the world we can do, because there's no other place to go. So we just as well, I mean, there's no other place.
We can eat it, but it's whatever y'all decide. It's,
Well, they're gonna charge us more. I did not up the rates on the waste. I didn't up any of those on the new budget.
Okay, well, we
that
don't,
might be an area though that we have to increase for, and that will give us a little extra room for
Well,
our
our contract is up in June, and so I was gonna try to wait till that.
I think, I agree, let's
See,
wait. I don't wanna go
also-
up on anything right now. We see what we can do with what we got right now, our budget. Without increasing water, sewage, dumpsters, all that stuff, till then,
I didn't increase the refuse.
whatever, all that stuff.
That's the only thing.
So, yeah.
I think that all this letter is just that we understand they are going up on their bill.
Every year.
We acknowledge that deal.
but we need a motion to keep our rate the same.
No, you just need a motion to sign this as acceptance that they're gonna go up, an understanding that they're going to go up on us.
For their annual rate adjustment.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we sign it on their annual rate adjustment
Okay.
for Allied Waste.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a second. All four? All opposed? Motion passes. Adopt our city tax rate of 0.6 712423. We had our 2 public hearings, and we didn't receive any comments that I know of. I believe all we need to do now is just approve it finally.
Make a motion to approve tax rate.
Michael makes a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Chris seconds, all for? All opposed? Motion passes. You should have a copy of 2 pages in front of you, one from ProStar Energy Services and one from National One Energy. Both are clearinghouses for energy companies. Our current contract is a 2-year contract with MP2 Energy that will terminate first of this year. Our current rate is 5.514 cents per kilowatt hour. A couple of things to note. MP2 passes through any congestion charges, and so although that our current rate is 5.514, on our last bill we were charged an additional 3 cents per kilowatt hour for congestion. So that increased our rate to 8.5 cents a kilowatt hour. Carol Chapman with ProStar Energy, she has been the city's representative on these matters for a long time. I think she originally was with WTU, and then when they deregulated, she got on with this energy clearinghouse. We've been working on this since about July. Since then, rates have gone down. They've gone up about a penny in the last couple of weeks. So I think it's time to kind of seriously look at this and try to get into a contract. What she is recommending is a 30-month contract with APG&E Energy at 5.156 cents. Now what that includes is unlimited bandwidth and no extra charges for congestion. So
The
that's
congestion is is that where they read the meters?
Charges.
Well, there's, because, I mean, I'm with Reliant, but I still get a bill, I mean, if you look at your bill, you know, they still charge because,
Is it because of the usage amount?
It's a usage during peak operating hours and peak demand on the grid.
Right.
That's the way she explained it to me. And it's variable. It could be nothing one month
Right.
and then be 3 cents.
well, I mean, like I said, I know because I'm with Reliant, but for, Angie to read my meter, I get a charge from them. Is that, you know?
But it's not that fee for her reading your meter, it's for how many people are on the line at the same time.
Is
Like,
what
with
you're
their air
saying,
conditioners
the
running.
congestion.
Yeah, there's
How
certain
much-
charges
yeah.
from AEP that'll be passed through no matter what.
Right.
Because AEP, as far as I know,
Because
owns the
recently,
line.
yeah, that's what I meant.
But what MP2 does is if we use a certain amount of energy during peak hours, they have the right to charge us extra for that on top of our fixed rate. And it could be nothing, it could be as much as 3 cents. Or it could be more, I suppose.
We've had several that's been.
And we can get out from under that.
Yes, I would suggest that we look at a contract that does not have any pass-through congestion charges on there.
Hot as it was last summer and one before that, it's very easy to get into that.
She said that
Get away from it.
some of her clients, they pay $35,000 just in these charges. So,
But she's recommending what is it?
APG for 30 months.
It's on the ProStar.
Oh, it's right here, APG. Oh,
She
okay.
recommended a 30-month.
The reason she's recommending the 30 months, she wants us to consider going out there a little bit further. As they construct these transmission lines to the Metroplex, they believe a lot of the wind energy that we're currently using right now will be sold in the Metroplex, raising our prices here in the future. That's how that was explained. So,
I can see how that happened.
think the only one lower on the APG&E, the lower one is the $4.99, but you're gonna be paying all the congestion fees again, so.
No, you, for that one, you wouldn't have any congestion fees, but you would just be locked in only for 18 months. Just,
travel over, never mind.
just to, check, since we've always used Carroll Chapel and ProStar Energy Services, we looked at this National One Energy, and I think we just got this back today. They've been pretty slow in getting it back, and, none of these rates are comparable that I saw. We had another one that we got an email on, but it was just an email that said that it was one rate for any amount of time period that we wanted, so then we didn't bring it here. I threw it in the trash. Tammy threw it in the trash.
I'll make a motion, we go to APG&E.
For 30 months?
On a 30-month deal.
Is that for everybody? Okay. Michael makes a motion, Billy seconds. All four? All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Next is a discussion on our water and sewer rates. Tommy, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, we can down the line. Due to us we're going to have to start, whether we start this month or start next month, we're going to start to pay Stonewall County Water District some money. Also, Miller Creek is going up on their water for us.
Are we back on Miller Creek yet, or are we still on well water?
We're still got a little bit of ammonia in our system, so. They're going up 15 cents. We're under contract. We pay them whether we use it or not. So, with all of those things in there, then we've kind of restructured our rates. These rates are in effect, but our drought contingency plan takes them, even further. That's why we stopped at the 14,000. That's where our drought contingency plan really kind of kicks in a little higher. So we're looking at going up to 15 cents, passing the 15 cents up on our water stuff all the way across. The residential rate itself has been the same for years and years, so we went up on it. The residential meter charge will stay the same. Business will stay the same, but the outside city for their meter charge will go up strictly because we have to drive out there to do that. The business rates, the only thing that changes other than on the residential is they do have a business rate now rather than being the same as residential. So we did that by $5. Everything else is pretty much the same. Outside city limits, they went up again. Everywhere that I checked, I gave Ralph a list. Every entity that's anywhere close to our area is way higher on everything. But there's no need in us trying to shoot it to the moon when we can try to survive on just doing small increases on some of this stuff. The outside businesses and the bulk water, I added that because we do have now some businesses that are outside the city limits. And to make it fair, you do the same to them as what you would do to Lonesome Dove or Dunnigan if they were still tied on, or to Swenson or to anybody else. So I included an outside business charge now that we did not have before. Before, all they did was just pay an outside residence. But then when they did that, they got the 30,000, and so we had to change that a little bit. It's more addressed in this ordinance. On that one, any questions on the first page?
So the outside people that's outside of town you're gonna pay on average $10 more a month.
Than the residents, yeah. Than the inside. And the reason that's being is that is because of the taxes, city taxes. Outside residents don't pay city taxes, so that's usually why. An average fee for outside city rates was $35, and I think it was $3 a thousand, up to a pretty minimum amount, and then it went way up. Some of them was even $10 a thousand for outside residents. Didn't think we could probably do that. The
What-
big, pardon,
What was the first 2,000, what was it?
13
It was 13?
on residents, yes. And the business rate was 13 as well. And so that's the biggest increase there on the water side.
And what was outside before?
2250 was the outside city rates.
And then the first 9,000, what was it before you put the 525 in there?
Well, right now, underneath the ordinance, or the last deal, anything over the 9,000 right now would qualify them for that so many dollars per thousand for overage charge. This addresses it, but this is still not a drought contingency plan. This is just strictly rates as of now. And
Okay, before the drought contingency plan, what was the first 9,000?
the first 9,000?
Or what it says right here, first 9,000?
Well, yeah, the first
It
9,000
says
is
525 per
525.
thousand. Yeah. What
Yeah.
was that?
510. We just went up to 15 cents that they're going up on us. But in reality, we have to look at this, we're actually having an increase of our water of an additional 17 cents. So we're not going the full amount up, we're still eating some of that.
What was the sewer, on the next page, what was
Okay,
this?
next page is a little different because we've never done this before. We just did a survey from the Texas Water Utilities, TCEQ, and all these, and they asked us a bunch of questions. And one of the questions was, if they used 1,000 gallons, what was their surcharge? And our surcharge was $15. The next question was, what was their charge if they used 1,000,000 gallons? And our answer was $15. So what we need to do is to implement a starting point for us to start doing the different rates that they suggest. And so this is kind of where we start to treat all of the wastewater. No matter what, everything that goes to plant, we have to treat it. Under old stuff, we never made, we had to pay for that out of the water revenue. So the wastewater plant needs to have its own revenue to be able to sustain itself, and this is a starting point. Where most places is 2,000 gallons, you're paying for the same water on your minimum that you use for your house, you get it for the same. You don't pay for the first 2,000 gallons. Anything over that, there is a charge for the waste disposal, so to say. Typical charge is 60 cents, not 30, and then it goes up to 90 and $1.50. So since we have not implemented that in the past, I think a good starting point would be the 30 and the 60.
Did I misunderstand you? Did you say up to 2,000 was no charge?
Yeah, up to 2,000 is $16, your
Okay.
basic charge.
Your basic charge?
Yeah. 2,001 gallons to 9,000 gallons is 30 cents per 1,000. Anything over 9,000 is 60 cents. It does not address people that use over that. It doesn't address that. We can add that if you'd like, but right now everybody's kind of set at that 9,000, so I didn't address it. Mainly to kind of see if this is going to generate. If you do all the figures under what the total usage is, we're only looking at maybe 4,000 a year is total charges. We're not really looking at a lot of money. Business rates, the only thing that's different is their actual business rate for the first 2,000, no changes otherwise. So you got.
Why is the loading rack so high?
Well, I just said it there because it's
When you come down on that, that's.
It's supposed to be an average of $8 right now, and that doesn't mean, if it's set at 15, doesn't mean we have to put it there, but we cannot go over $10 a thousand right now without anything else being in place. Our drought contingency plan tells us we have to turn it off. If we have a limit to it where people can still access it, we don't have to turn it off and still be able to use it, but charge them more money. That's all this ordinance would do, was allow us to go to $15 per thousand if we had to in a crisis situation. Because like I say, right now, if we can't see it feasible for selling it for $8 a thousand, our other option is to turn it off. So.
Well, you got people out here that depend on that for their own house.
Right.
Can't turn it off.
So that's kind of where we're.
Could you not like go to the $10 per gallon, and then underneath it put, or something on it, like you have on the other ones?
Yeah, that's it's open.
Or is that my simple mind thing?
Well,
All
My
the rates.
simple mind might be
At the
thinking
loading
on
rack
that.
though, there's right now, as it's set up, there's no way to decide who goes over this amount, who goes over this amount.
Right. So what that price does is when it gets to the point where the people outside, then this is the only water they have. That's a whole nother thing. You don't shut them off. You allow.
Well, I mean, to shut this off over here, to shut those people off that don't have water, therefore you're gonna have to shut off all these little entities all over town, all around the county.
Yeah. So
Same thing.
we have to.
We can't do that.
In order to make it to where we can allow it to be open for those individuals that use it strictly for water purposes, household purposes.
Right.
But I say the option on the drought contingency plan is if they're using it for cattle, it's off. If they're using it for home, we have to set up a situation where we actually have to supply them water. That's the bad case scenario. The other one is if we're still under our limits, we can still be able to sell it, but still have limits on what they do. And a high price is that everybody has come to agree that that's the way that you do it. So I just put that in there. I mean, that's totally up to y'all what y'all want to do on that part of it.
So you set it at the 10.
That is not.
I set it at 10.
Does that open your contingency plan the way that you need it to be?
Yeah, I mean, when we start having to go underneath the drought contingency plan, all this down here changes. I mean, it has to. We can't. I say we don't cut the people off that use it for residential, but the farmers will be, or the ranchers will be. That's part of that plan, and we can't change that. And that's the purpose. Is if it's high, then they
well,
won't.
I'm sorry, Stephanie. I'm probably following you because I don't get that. If we're under the contingency plan and it's one rate, and we understand that in extreme circumstances we have to cut cattle off or whatever, then this plan's not in effect. This will only come into effect after we come out of the contingency plan, right?
Well, just the loading rack is the only thing that's going to change on this whole ordinance. Is the loading rack. If y'all want to put it at 10, we need to put it at 10.
Okay, but I'm not making the correlation of how this sitting at 10 affects the.
Okay, we can't. If we set it at 10 on this ordinance, we can never go up. You cannot go up unless you amend this ordinance. That means you'd have to have the whole other deal. You don't have to set the price of a loading rack at $15. You don't have to set it at that price.
The loading rack is not under the contingency plan?
It's under the drought contingency plan.
That rate is in effect as long as we're in a drought contingency plan, right?
The rate, the $10 or what do you?
What it is right now, it's what is it, Michael?
$8 right now.
It's $8
It's
right now.
$8. I understand now. We can't. This is like if we come out of the contingency plan or whatever, we can't go over $15 if we raise water rates. You know what I'm saying? If we said that 10, we
outside
can't.
of the contingency plan, that makes sense, but I don't see how this affects the contingency plan, which is what I understood you to say.
If we have to operate under the contingency plan,
Right.
when we go to stage 3, we're supposed to turn the loading rack off.
Okay.
Then they have to come over here to get you to turn it on to get so much water, you know.
Then we can sell it to them at $8 a thousand. If there's
If
some
they're
kind of
for the
other thing
households.
comes up, which we're supposed to be able, as a city, we're supposed to be able to supply. Somebody's doing our roads, we have to supply them with X amount of gallons of water. We can sell it to them at $15 a thousand rather than the $8,000 that we sell it to the individual who needs it for their house. Ours is $10 wherever you sell it.
That makes sense. So somebody comes in and it's for their house, and you know that. You're gonna charge them the 10, or you're gonna charge them the 15?
Charge them the 10 or the 8 or whatever we set it.
Yeah. I still think
all
we
right.
set it at 10, and
I
if
got
we
it.
have to, we can go in and do
This
the,
15 is just a cap, so all it
It's a
is.
cap.
is the cap, yeah.
Okay.
That means that we can leave it at 8, just like it sets right now. But
We can go up to 15
in time, we
if
can
have
go up to
to.
that point at any time without having to pass another deal.
Okay,
And
that's,
15 is still low compared to everywhere else.
Oh, yeah, it's
Oh, yeah,
$25
it is.
everywhere else.
It
If
is.
you go in there right now and if you go over and try to take a 15 right now, you know, you've over double it.
There's no need.
But this gives us an option to double it if we need to, though.
There's
I
no need
understand
to
that, but I'm
change.
saying you can put it right there right now, and that would be a very drastic, fast
Yeah.
deal.
That's, all I'm thinking of is to have the opportunity without having another budget or another ordinance in place, is if we set it here, then we don't have to do another ordinance in the future for any reason. But the setting the rate will always come before the council and set it, you know, unless we just something drastically happens. So right now it's set at 8, and I'm not asking to change that. I'm just asking to change the cap.
I ain't gonna ever change the cap.
yeah.
And nowhere in the budget is the loading rack included, so it doesn't matter what. It's set at $8 is what it's set at, so.
Okay, back to the front page about the residential city rates. The first 2,000, I'm not real gung-ho on going up $2, basically. I know we're just going to start paying them, I understand that, and everything, but that's a pretty big hike for me.
Well, the reason that number is there is because we went from being able to set our budget under 14 million gallons to 6. And that's as low as we can go.
Right.
And in order, we cannot, so far this month, we may not even have revenue for 6 million gallons. And so the lower our revenue comes in off the water that we produce, all the numbers will drop. So we have to have a way to keep everything else in operation, and that's the only thing we can do, is either go up there or go up higher on the water rates, which will end up costing you more going up on the rates than the $2 for the meter charge. I did a lot of figures. If we went up to $5.50 or $5.35 on the water, it would actually end up costing you that $2 really quick for that 1,000 gallons. So to just do the upper part of the 15-cent charge, we're going to have to go up on our basic rates.
We just went up not too long ago, right?
Well, we went up on our water, but not on the rates itself. I don't think the rates of the water have been raised in quite a while.
What's the difference between water and rates?
Your 2,000 gallon, your minimum charge.
So, what was our minimum?
2,000. The minimum stayed the same.
Same.
All thing we've changed is went from $13 to $15 for the 2,000 gallons.
When was it the last time we went up?
Hasn't been that long ago.
We went up on the actual per thousand of gallons water price. We went to 510 from 467 to 510,
Which was what it should have been, because we wouldn't even
Right.
charging what we were having to pay.
Right.
Right, and, yeah.
For years.
And
For
so-
years, yeah.
And so all we're doing still is just actually going up the 15 cents they went up on us. And we're still, I say, we still have to pay, Stonewall County that 17
Right.
cents plus the 15 cents for,
But the 17 cents is not even figured in. We haven't even taken into account for that increase.
well, yeah, in this increase I have.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I've been
510 to
able to use-
525 is 15.
Yeah, that's only 15 cents.
Yeah. The $2 increase on the residential charge and the $5 increase on the business charge.
On the maintenance fee?
And, well, the maintenance fee for outside the city, that, I went up to 5 with them instead of the $2 because it costs us more to go out there and mess with those meters.
Well, like I said, I guess we're gonna if we're gonna start paying them, I guess we're gonna have to do something.
I mean, the only other way.
I hate it,
if
I
you-
mean, I don't know what else to do.
If you
But if
look
we're gonna
at
have to start paying them
if you look at the 2,000
$1,200
gallons.
a month,
If you do your 2,000, if you left your residential rate at $13, but you went ahead and went up on the full price of the water from 510 plus your 17 plus your 15 cents.
gives you $5.42.
Now, if you went 542 and you used 1,000 gallons over that 9,000 gallons, it would cost you $5. It would cost
Instead of
you
the
that amount instead of the
Instead of the two.
And then every 1,000, it would increase another $5 and another.
So you could,
That's a way more of an increase and
Then if
way
we
more
did
of a
it-
if you
hit
do the two
than you
on
just
the
do
base.
the other.
And we did, instead of, I mean, do this, do that.
Yeah.
If I can, let me just go over the rates in other cities, and this is just the basic residential rates. Stanford, minimum, 24.73. Anson, 16.50. Haskell, 16.07. Monday, $15. Hamlin, $20. Spur, 23.60. Knott City, 16.80. Roby, 12.50. Roby, their per 1,000 gallons is 8.76 flat.
They're getting theirs on the.
Yeah. Jayden, 18.70.
And this is, I missed that, but that was the
Their
resident,
basic.
the basic,
That's the
okay.
minimum charges.
So we're not the highest, but we're not the lowest. Some of them are 12.50.
Oh, we're still low.
We're on the lowest, we're on the
No,
low side, but we're not.
We're still the lowest.
Right.
The only one that was lower than us was Roby, and then that's.
But they charge
$8.75 for.
$8.75 for every 1,000. You get no minimum. It's everything over 1 gallon.
Right there.
Oh,
Everything over 1 gallon. That, you'd have to really look at that because it's like the one is charging $23.50, then they're charging $4 and some cents a
so for our
thousand to
2,000, they're paying,
$16
well, no.
plus
If that's over 1 gallon,
it's
it's $8.75,
$32
yeah.
for 1,000
Oh my
gallons.
gosh.
So we're still, our rates are still lower than everybody's in the surrounding area. But you can't just.
I hate it, like I said, I don't wanna go up on nothing, but I understand, like I said, we have to start paying these people, and if you look at it that way, I mean, you know, I just wanted to make sure that this is gonna make sense, and it's not gonna cost a lot, you know, like that.
Well-
If you could give like an average bill as an example, say 4,000 gallons. Say somebody used 4,000 gallons of water. That might help
I can do
her
that.
understand, and I'm sitting here trying to figure like basically what my bill would go up so that people might understand more.
Can you post comparisons in a public setting, like you got these comparisons from other cities? Can you post that?
I would assume you could.
I mean, where people that.
Because I think
Like
as an
someone got-
education,
Yeah,
to show
we're
that we're not
asking-
just gouging people just for
Yeah.
the sake of doing that, that
Exactly, where everybody would understand that we're not doing it for, you know,
I mean-
because we wanted new toys for the city, or we need, you know, all this other stuff for the city, you know what I'm saying? Cause that's already been out there, you know, for wages and all that stuff, is why we're going up, cause we need money for that and this and new toys or whatever.
Right now, water is our number one
I know,
concern.
I know, but that's not what they're, but that's what we understand that. But a lot of the other people don't understand that.
That's why I think a
With,
comparison might be a good idea.
4,000 gallons, then, under the old ordinance, the bill would have been $23.70.
Mhm.
Under the new one, it's $25.50. But all the other things was that's your basic, plus you add the $2 if you live in the city limits.
Yeah.
So we're going up less than anything.
That's gonna be, so it's $1.80 more. So that's not bad, okay, I understand that a lot more.
Now, the more you use,
Well, yeah, I
the
understand
more
it.
it's gonna be.
Well, yes,
So-
exactly, yeah, because I mean, well, that's anything.
And that goes the same for the wastewater. The more you use, the more it will cost you. It's supposed to cut down on waste.
So quit flushing your commode all the time.
What's the
The main thing that it does is
You got to breathe with it?
it allows you some leeway for overproduction of water to the people who use a lot of water to water their grass. It adds that. It's kind of-
Every other time.
Okay, on the sewer deal, like Duncan, they're in city limits, and they have sewer and whatnot at their office, that what they get, like out the lake, is that, is there a surcharge on that?
Because the only ones that get a surcharge are people that are actually tied on their sewer.
Stay up night, go outside.
So is their office, I don't know.
Yeah, no, their office will be changed.
Okay.
So, but it's in the city, it's tied on the city sewers. So if they use 30,000 gallons, their wastewater bill will be based off that 30,000 gallons.
Even what they put in the truck?
Yes.
Okay.
So if we sell water to them and they use that whole 30,000 to go in the truck,
And they get charged.
they will get paid a wastewater fee for that. And everybody's the same.
Okay, well, like I said, I hate it, but I guess, like I said, I understand it. I understand what, and like I said, and these other people have got to have their money and all that kind of stuff, but I wanted to understand it though.
So any changes on there, other than my name being misspelled?
You didn't use your spell check, did you?
You should, well, that
No,
would
I think I copied it off something Tammy gave me.
I did not, no, you are not going to
No, you cannot blame Tammy on spelling.
Oh, yes, I can.
No, you can't, because I called her from my office and I'll ask her, how you spell this?
That's definitely not something you've been doing.
We look at old
Yeah.
budgets on the spelling.
Yeah.
I didn't see his
No
spell
budget.
We've
Yeah.
seen his spell check episode.
Yeah.
So, any changes, or what I got?
Like I said, I hate it, but like I said, I understand it. And like I said, I would just like for the citizens to really understand it too, that, just because all these years we didn't go up when we should have went up, just everybody to understand it really well.
Sure.
And for them to understand that we're still
Under
not
every,
the most.
yeah, we are.
And like Michael pointed out, I just would like to make sure that we know that the loading rack is a cap and not this is what we'll start charging.
Right,
The price-
exactly.
The price set at the loading rack won't change unless it's brought back before the council.
Okay.
It cannot go above the 15.
Okay.
I think so. I think we need to put a cap.
But they understand it's a cap, not a,
We have that agreement and that understanding, but I think you need to formally write on there
I can
the
put,
cap limit.
I can just
or-
put cap limit
okay.
out on the side. When I changed it, how do you spell your name?
EL.
Oh, no. You do LE.
Yeah.
Oh, you spelled it.
Oh, no, I know how to spell it.
Oh.
I worked at the bank 15 years.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It's gonna be bad.
So would it be fine if I put out beside that loading rack sales $15 per 1,000 gallons cap limit?
Right.
If I do that, then
And,
That's understandable.
we, maybe, put an asterisk or something, subject to water contingency plan, or I don't know, something where they,
Subject change without fire and over.
Due to to water contingency plan or something like
Just a
that.
cap limit, because the drought contingency plan turns it all completely.
Exactly,
Right.
that's
It
true.
does all of them, anyway.
That's true.
So,
Let me ask this, whenever, if it does come to the point where that is shut off to where it's not open to the public, how are we gonna have that deal?
They have to come in and fill out a deal and basically say, yes, I live here, and this is my supply of
I
water.
understand all that, but
Then
now,
they get a number for one of the guys.
so we're gonna have to replace what we have there, we're gonna have to have one of these guys come up there.
They'll have to come up there and do it, so we'll try to suggest that they come during regular
See,
business.
they already do that in
That don't
Dickinson and
always happen,
Spire.
but there's a lot of people up there after dark.
Yeah,
Well,
Takes time to get everybody.
yeah.
Yeah,
Switch over.
Yeah, I think
because they already do that, the boys had to go get some water the other day, and they had to go to City Hall and do that up, or somewhere in Dickens and something, and they had to go get it.
Do you know how much they pay for?
I don't.
Somebody told me up
It's
there.
like $30-something dollars.
We just bought some water the other day, and it's $35.
It's $30-something dollars, I know that. Because Jim Bob said they ended up not getting it because it was too much of a hassle. They went and got some out of a tank or something. I don't know what they did, but they ended up not getting it.
They have a deal on some of them now where you swipe a card, and the card tells the loading rack whether you're a farmer or whether you're a resident, a signed-in resident, and it charges you a different amount. But when you slide the card through, you have to set up on a billing program in the City Hall, and it bills you that way rather than you putting money in. That's the new deal. So you set an account up, and the city sends you a bill for that water rather than doing it another way, which is a really cool option.
That's a really cool
and
option, but how expensive is that?
It's about $300, I think, is what Kenneth was saying. Was it Kenneth? Keith.
That includes so many cards or.
Yeah, and that's not very many cards.
I figured.
So, there's some other options. I kind of looked into a little bit of that. There is some options that way that we can get into for around that amount of money. We make the cards, it's kind of like a hotel card. And when they set up an account, we give them that card and it sets up their account.
That $300 would include the deal that has to be in the office, the cards, plus the deal over there?
Yeah, so like a cell phone, even a cell phone.
It's pretty cheap.
Yeah, it is.
So,
Oh, I was expecting way more than that.
we have the,
3,000.
we've got the option now to do a credit card swipe over there for that amount of money. But we already have to pay the credit card thing anyway, which we still have to pay on top of whatever you sold. But it would radio over to here and keep it all, and you know, if you want to
And
use
this
a
billing
bill.
system will keep track of it?
Yeah, if you want to do a billing system or to charge it out that way too. There's lots of stuff that the car washers are doing and changing, where they're
Yeah.
accepting the debit cards and credit cards, and then also limit cards. If you have a card and you come over here and you pay $300 and put it on the card, and they take it over and use it for the $300. There's a bunch of stuff you can do. It's just we're upgrading everywhere else. I don't know if we want to really go there yet.
Well, I guess they're upgrading, so they're making more money.
They're making a ton of money off of it. They've already paid, Seymour's already paid for theirs, just off of the first month that they put it in. I'm sorry.
So if there's no more discussion on that, I'll ask for a motion to approve ordinance 91-812-1 for water and sewer rates with corrections on loading rack sales
Your last name.
and my last name.
I'll make the motion.
Stephanie makes the motion, is there a second?
Not real happy, but I'll make the motion.
Chris seconds. All four?
Oh.
You make the motion, you
I'm
can
not gonna vote. I was in deep thought there for just a minute. I'm like, ugh,
vote. All opposed?
I hate it.
Motion carries. All right, on to the real fun stuff.
Oh, yeah. I got all kinds of little check
We
marks here
can
too.
discuss this, but we cannot pass it tonight.
Right.
The public hearing notice is going to be posted in the paper tomorrow, and then we have to have a special meeting on Monday at 6 o'clock. If 6 o'clock is fine for everybody, well, I think I talked to everybody. I think Tammy talked to Stephanie.
council right now, for special meeting 4 is quorum. So if there's some reason they all can't be here Monday, please let us know so we can reschedule accordingly. But, for this time, we need everybody to be there.
Are you gonna appoint somebody?
I haven't decided yet.
So we need to add on there too, Tammy, before we forget, when we post that agenda, we need to add the EDC, IDC to that.
We can go line by line.
Do it however y'all want to do.
Just to start off, Sonny and I don't know which provision this is, but it's,
This is about the 5th or 6th one.
I don't think I'm like 10, but,
Last year. This is for 6 months.
we've,
Yeah, because, you know, we're changing our cycle from the
Okay.
April budget to the
Okay.
October budget. That's why it's that short one.
Right. Yeah.
so on the left side, you'll see the actual amounts, for the fiscal year, previous full fiscal year, and of course what we have budgeted, preliminarily for our next fiscal year. As far as the water goes, like I said earlier, who knows? Who knows what our water sales will be this year? This is probably one of the most difficult years to predict what that is. So Sonny went pretty low on that. And so our expenses based on those water sales are also low. I'm just meandering on, Sonny, you just.
Well, you're already on the water and wastewater budget.
Yeah, I didn't look at them.
We'll look at that. If you notice on the water, on the front line, the $625,000 for the water sales, you notice that it's not up very much. The reason is all of these figures that we're going to be doing on the water and wastewater are all based off of 6 million gallons. That's our average usage right now. It's our average usage during the cold parts of the month, so that could actually drop as well. Because if you use it as 9,000 gallons per meter with the meter count that we have, it's way up there. And I didn't see us trying to be able to figure our budget out on that particular what ifs. So I used all averages for the last year, based on wintertime months and on summertime months now at our drought, if it doesn't rain, and leaving everything at the 9,000, we can actually not affect our budget if we have to come down off of that 9,000. So that's the purpose of doing it that way. Meter sales and parts, I tried to get out the meter sales and parts of it, and we're going to have to eventually do that, but right now, nobody really has that connection that the city actually has, even though we sell it to them at a 15% deal. So that $700 is you'll find down here in the parts. It's in most of that down there too. So, but you still have to wash it out. So that's why that's there instead of the $640, because the price of the meters went up. So the water and sewer maintenance fee, that $19,000, that is the $2 maintenance fee and $5 maintenance fee. So if you will look down on in the bottom of the expense page, on we have to put a number in it. There's lots of changes on these, so if you don't see a number, it's under 6450. The TAP program, that's where it washes back out. It's the 19,000. That's in, well, let me make a check somewhere else. Because that has to wash out. We pull it in, we have to wash it back out. But that is not what we do on the tap fee. The tap fee is higher than that. So you have to look into the figures of 6430 and 6349 is where parts of those, where that tap fee has to come from, because you can't do a negative on the bill. So it's going to come out of several places, but since our water and wastewater budget is together, then that's why we're trying to.
What's with the fire department and the golf course?
They're in the general. There's been some stuff moved, and nothing's been done.
They had to
lately.
change some of the line items and how they put it in.
That's right. Make sure it's still there.
Sanitation charges, these charges right here are based on what we charge is 1801 for the residential, for all of those. And then, return checks, I don't know if we even had any or not, but you gotta put one in there. The miscellaneous income and is either whether we transfer from general, if there's some left in there, or whatever, but we already had an offer for these meters for $1,500, so, we're gonna have more, so the price will go up, so I'm looking at, we'll probably get around $2,000 for that. Franchise tax, the way it estimated, it was a little higher, so I just rounded it down to 20,000, which gave us the 835,000 in water and sewer. That's our revenue. And then, cost of goods sold, the 6,100 is Rolling Plains and Stonewall County. That 24,480 is based off of our minimum amount that we'll use from our wells, 6 million gallons, they're both times 17 cents a piece. Water lease at Miller Creek, our limit, or our minimum amount that we can purchase right now is 2.4 million. And that right there, $77,760 is that minimum, which I'm hoping we stay under that. And what that does is roll back into the summer months. So we still pay our minimum, but if we happen to go over in 1 month, they won't charge us the double price. They will allow us to kind of move around into that deal. So we're trying to stay under that amount all the time. So you have the total cost of the water at $102,000, and then total cost of waste disposal. We pulled a bunch of bills, and this is what it's averaging. When it goes up is when we have lots of people visit our convenience center. That's when that price goes up. But that's not our waste disposal. This is strictly what we charge for people to use the convenience center that is in the general fund. So that put us at a total cost for goods of $612,000. So that's what we have left with that. City of rural water cost, I've changed the billing up on that, and don't know how it was figured out before, but it's not figured that way anymore. We actually get the overage charge, and then we use rules usage and subtract it, and then we both pay for loss, and then they pay us for the electric bill, or half of the electric bill, or their percentage of the electric bill. So we haven't been paying them a lot of money of late, $13 and things, when we had our leak on, things like that. So this 6205, the reason it's zeroed out is for some reason part of somebody's salary was actually put in that deal, and there's no need for it. So that
was when when we had the new auditor, and she switched mine and the night watchman over.
Okay.
And she had to make that adjustment
To the other line item,
over to the general fund.
Yeah.
So that's why that's the negative, that's because of her adjustments.
And you see that we had lots of overtime last year. That $279,000 is what we paid. Right now it's, I actually included 100, each one of the guys is pretty much guaranteed 110 hours overtime. That's included in that. Also another 110 hours of overtime for water leaks and things like that. That's all.
So this wages is everybody's?
Yes. Well, it's everybody's except for Tammy's, Victoria's, and the night watch. That's everybody's salary is in that deal. I didn't see that, we were probably gonna use any part-time, people, so I didn't budget any for part-time in the water and wastewater budget. Payroll taxes, that $34,090 is the 0.133% of the 257. So that can go up or down depending on how many hours everybody gets in. Retirement expense is 0.16% of that as well, is how that figure gets there. Our medical insurance went down because we're not paying 600 and something, now we're paying 460 something, so it went down. The debit card expense, we don't have a debit card, so I didn't expense any there. Average fuel cost, since the changes is that by rule, we have to drive to and read the water wells every day. So, fuel cost is gonna be a little higher. It's already reflected on their 6 month that we just passed. It reflected this amount, so, employee expenses are, like uniforms and things like that.
Why did it go up so much?
Well,
It
it went up, but it'll go back down because I included Mingo, and Mingo's not here anymore, so that'll actually come down.
Mingo quit?
Mingo, yeah, his last day was the 7th.
He working out here at Knoxville.
Yeah. So, but I'd rather keep it, I'd rather keep it
Learn
high
something every day.
in case they go up on us, to keep it high. Advertising, some of this other stuff just come out of advertising. Accounting, professional services, we actually kind of moved that around to another contract labor. Training is for schools. We may go over that. 4,000 was, we sent Kenny to a lot of schools during that fiscal year. We did. Now we've got to send Lorenzo will be going probably to Lubbock in November. But he's paid for school next year in Odessa. He wasn't able to go, so they gave us a credit. But that is Odessa and Fort Stockton is the only place it can be used. License and permits, we'll have a couple of permits that we'll have to renew, and next year will be the time that we'll have to budget way more.
6281, that is our debit card machine charges.
Well,
That's what they charge us. Because we get...
$610?
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Right?
We've got to, we'll have to look. I can tell you an exact figure in the morning of all their charges that they do every month.
We put a star on that. Lab testing, one is water, one's wastewater. There's 200 each one. Permits and dues, 3,000. And then there's lab testing water and there's lab testing wastewater. So there's 2 different ones, 2 different places. So that's why there's 2 different ones. Pest control was moved to general, so it's not there. Chemicals are for wastewater plant and water treatment, both combined. Since the budget's combined, they're combined on that. Repairs to the equipment, that's tires, something like that for some of the backhoes, things like that. Repairs to system is kind of a general item. In case it doesn't fall under a certain particular line item, it falls under that one. I don't see us renting anything, but just in case, there's $400 in there, because that's what it costs us about to rent that trencher.
What about the street repairs?
Street repairs are in general.
Is that to say they're moved, aren't they? Okay.
Utilities, water system is electric bills, things like that. We did get new pumps installed in the wells, so our our electricity has dropped a little bit, so, and then plus the new rates on the electricity should drop it some more. Utilities for the office, if it's hot like it was last year, our price will.
There's the shops on that too.
Yeah,
Shop out there, yeah.
Shopping the office there.
Well, if we get this new electricity company too, they,
Computer repairs, don't see that we really might need any, but in case we do, I'll put some in there. Office supplies, that's our printer cartridges and things like that. Postage is, for our water bills. Supplies is for clamps, water leaks, anything that has to do with the wells. That line coming to town, it covers all of that. We have a pretty good stock of stuff. 77,000 reflects that, so I lowered that some. Travel 2,000, that means if we have to go to Lubbock or Abilene to schools and things, it's in there. Miscellaneous expense is, there's a ton of things that's in that particular field. Rollins, the hardware store over in Haskell, if we have to have something for the wells and drive over there, it's a catch-all for anything that's not, that they don't do a purchase order to have an actual line item for. There's your TAP program of the 19,000. Also remember that in the 6349 and your 6430, whatever overage we're going to have to do on our TAP program has to come out of those because that is part of the water system. Fire department was moved to general. Ambulance, golf course all moved to general. Capital outlay is just that's if we need $1,000 somewhere. I don't have any plans for anything, so it's rather than leaving it blank, it does have a little bit of the same with the capital improvement. And then the sales tax, we have to pay on the refuge.
That capital improvement was the roof. Then we got
that
that
grant for, yeah, we had that grant for it.
And just so y'all know, the grant we collected from the state on two of the projects. One, Benswinger Glass, we have not done yet.
You haven't turned in the paperwork, right?
Still, they have been out there forever.
Comments on water and sewer?
Do what?
Comments on the water and sewer budget?
I'm good.
Do a change on the credit card, I can move it around.
Oh, yeah, we'll have to do that.
On,
The debit card
Was there anything
expenses.
else that was not?
on the, Stonewall County Water Board, right now we've got budgeted for $1,000 a month.
12,000, well,
I thought
yeah,
that's like
1,000,
2020.
it's 12,240 for the year, so it's about 1,000, yeah, a little
Okay.
over 1,000.
I just said that. But what we're looking at is possibly, I mean, it's gonna sound like they're wanting possibly minimum of $1,500. So, what do y'all say? We try to find a way to move 6,000
To there.
to there.
Well, I mean,
Where can we do it?
If
I
what
can-
they said was right, then it'd be 50.
Well, this capital improvement was just on that, they can,
6 million
It's
gallons.
capital
Take it
outlay,
off.
capital improvement,
yeah,
2,000 right there.
there's, 2,000 there, and then, where was that?
I can
Other
move some of
things.
the employee expenses, I can move some of that around, because it was 9,006, but I say we did a lot of traveling, so, I can move another 3,000 from there. I can drop that down to 9,000.
Okay, what I code under employee expense is water and their, their water credit and their uniforms. And then also in that's what's under employee expenses.
So if
It's
we
our-
take that 3,000 out of that without moving the board,
Well, we might just take 2,000.
do we 2 instead?
And also something that I I would like to do, especially since this year will be extremely interesting, especially on the water and sewer side, is at least quarterly look at our current accounts versus what we've got budgeted for it. I don't know if we've ever actually done that, or been able to, but that's something that I'd really like to strive for. And then, we get 3 months down the
Make
road.
sure we're staying on
and
track.
Just these, we're selling a lot more water, then we can adjust it upwards. But when we need to know if we're not selling as much, what we need to do also.
I think part of it, I've discussed with Ralph and Tammy about, been talking about this too, is in actuality, our water and our sewer needs to be separated. It doesn't need to be together. And so, once we have a starting point to do that, we can move these numbers into separate deals. And then it's not necessarily amending our budget, but adding those line items and separating the water and sewer to see where our revenue stands on each one. But as Ralph, said, if we go in and look at the budget, we might need to amend it at that time to change something because we may not have enough revenue coming in, or one of those cases. So when we get to that first time, we'll try to be ready to have our water and sewer separated at that time. We won't change the budget numbers. It'll only change just how it looks.
You talking about this TAP program, something happens here, it's gotta come out of this other one?
Yeah, you have to do a wash.
So-
It's still income, and so you have to
So
wash.
really, and truly, this,
I think, can we take it out of
19,000.
6450?
It's a wash.
Because
We
he
have
said
but
it.
if
we
that
just
money
put
that come
that,
out, this number doesn't even need to.
Yeah.
between the capital
No,
outlay and the
split it
capital
between something else,
improvement.
then
No, it's what you call a wash, is you've got revenue coming in, but you also have it going out.
500, 500,
It's
that's 1,000,
designated
and then
for a
took
particular
2 out of
thing.
that one.
And
That'd be
all we designated was
3,000
$19,000.
right there.
If it's all right, if y'all are on consensus that we need to at
Yeah,
least
I
try
think
to
we
budget
could take-
$1,500 a month, Sonny and Tim, they work on
Yeah.
adjusting these.
I think we could take 2,000 out of the 6450.
What I'd really like
What
to
line
do.
item was that?
I thought 6450, because you said that was just covers a whole bunch of stuff, but if we had to transfer, if we had to come from general back over to it, if we needed it, you could put it back from general on the line item, couldn't you?
Yeah, I know, we moved some of this already. Now, 10,000 is, well, you see it was 14,000.
Yeah, but you said that was just like catch-all thing, I thought,
Yeah.
basically.
Um,
But I mean, if we ever needed, if that went up for the catch-all, you could always move it from general if we had to, couldn't you?
Yeah, I moved part of that to general anyway.
Yeah.
But it's still not, I think we only said it 14,000 total from here to there. But I can find the money in here.
Yeah, I think,
to be
like
able to adjust
Chris
it
said,
down.
they said it was the
15, 25.
15, 25, at least get an even number there, for that.
So
That's
you
somewhat.
you wanna budget $1,525 per month into that, or 1,500 straight?
You think they'll be picky about $25?
Let's do 1,500 straight, I think. Let's just go, just stay with a few even numbers.
I'll,
See, it's easier for me, I know.
I can move those around and we'll be able to get that.
What I'd really like to do is monthly be able to look at this and be able to say, this is how much we spent this month, this is how much we spent this fiscal year, this is what we've got budgeted, be able to look at it monthly. I don't guess that's ever been done before, but.
Well, it's on your reports, which y'all don't have, because we can't get it off of here right now, but the reports I give y'all every month, it shows what y'all are bringing in,
For that.
income for that month, and it'll show what your expenses are for that month for both sides. You can do it for 2 months, you can do it for 3 months, you can do it for however many months you want to do it. So however you decide you want it, and then you can go in there and do a budget versus actual report,
Yeah.
and then that shows exactly what you have spent versus what you did actually put in.
Yeah, I think that would help us a lot. I didn't realize that was already available.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'd like to try not to, like I said, before they leave, where they know that we're not trying to take nothing away from them, try to stay away from the employee expenses if possible. To find the 1,500.
Sure.
So I don't want to take anything away from, the guys that, out in the field and stuff. If we can find it somewhere else. And you too, dear, you know that.
I mean, I can,
You cannot
I
lie.
can,
Is there anything else on water and
Yeah,
sewer
I'll buy you one.
that y'all wanna discuss, any changes on those?
No, I think that sounds pretty good there, to me.
Okay. On to the general fund.
Current taxes, this is, you're gonna see like the delinquent taxes and, the zero amount there, is because the way that the new tax deals can do it, it's kinda all rolled into one kind of deal. And this is the number they gave us, is what we're gonna be getting, this is what we should get. It can go up due to delinquency and fees and things like that, but that's where it's at right now. 200, the rest of them are just figures that the tax office gave us. And they're pretty close to what they were last year, except for the delinquent part of it. Sales tax is based on an average of what sales tax we've been pulling in the last year. This number of 260 is actually lower. It was 22,000 a month is what it kind of averages to. So we use the 260,000, and the reason I used the 260,000 was because that was one of the points where we needed to be in order to pass the EDC and IDC. But, and anyway, I'll get to that part in a minute. Anyway, so said that the hotel motel is a wash again. I was trying to, Michael asked it, if we have income, we have to disperse it somewhere. You can't just have a number and not show it. So the hotel motel is another one of them, like our maintenance fee, is a wash. It actually is budgeted in to give that amount of money to the Chamber of Commerce from us, since we are responsible for that money. And so this takes us to the responsibility. Franchise tax, this is what we've been averaging here is 22.6 the last year. The $20,460 was a little low. We actually the other check, I think, for this month would have brought it back up. Royalty income is $2,500. That's this is interest earned is $1,500. I didn't include a lot of that because we just redid our CDs, so I think it's actually going to be higher than that, wasn't it, twice that much?
I'm sorry.
For the interest on
He was like dreaming off over there.
Anyway, I didn't see us trying to over budget anything, so I didn't over budget any of that. Miscellaneous income can come from selling water to off the fire hydrant to several different things. Also comes from when we have a business cut trees down and they haul them to the convenience center, we charge them for that. So that's part of that miscellaneous income. Night watch wages is going to stay the same. We gave them a decent up in December.
I mean, are we gonna keep the night watchman? Have you negotiated any with Ronnie over that?
That'll be in my little.
Oh, okay, sorry. I'm jumping ahead there, I'm sorry. Okay.
Let's see. Interest payment. That is budgeted in. What that interest payment is the payment on the water meters. I had to put it somewhere because it needs to be an expense. And the interest off of the total monies that we invest into these new water meters is going to be about $11,000. What we have planned is on our water sales part, if we're over revenue of what we've averaged for that, then we will take that amount of money per month and place it in on top of the principal of that money so we can bring it down when we can. It'll be another one of them. As we do that on the meetings, when we look at our budget, see where we are, and see if we can do that, disperse the funds.
That's another reason, looking at everything monthly very closely and seeing what we can
I went ahead and put 2,000 in our playground. We've got some in there already. We've got donations. The IDC is very, very interested in pursuing this project.
Right.
So we will have a lot of help on that.
And We Care.
Yeah,
We Care wants to help really much.
So we all care. So the last bid I got on that was about 60,000. And that wasn't a whole lot of stuff, but it was. But if we invest in the 60,000 for that particular one, which is an age group from 18 months to 5, if we invest in to go up to a little bit older on the other side, they'll give us a break. They did suggest we do not go over that age, and because the weight on the plastic breaks it, and then it doesn't last very long. So if we're going to do something above that, it needs to be in another place for just the bigger kids, which is a lot more money. So we did budget that.
How much is in there right now?
Not a whole lot. We got a check for $500, and then we put some in there, I guess, from last year. So Tammy could tell you that.
I could tell you if I could get the report.
Yeah, we just.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'll try to
You
get
were
y'all.
looking at some grants too at one time.
There's a lady that, she says she works with the grant people, and she.
Did I have a fundraiser for that?
Yeah, you gave us some donations.
Yeah, I had a fundraiser for that.
Yeah.
And that's where, because Mitch gave me the $500 check, that's where that come in from too.
We need to think about looking at that Four Winds thing and looking at the foundations, because that's just free money.
Yeah, she's going tomorrow, I think, to one of them Four Winds.
Yeah, that'd be
So
a good
she needs
place
to look in,
We suggest maybe an offering somewhere, and then also maybe talk to the entities that spread that money around. They did last year, the 10,000.
Right.
Maybe include the parks and the.
Right, yeah, from the windmill people.
Utilities, that's, Tammy and I discussed the utility part right there, and I can't exactly remember what utilities it was paying, but it was paying for something.
I don't remember that.
Oh, cell phone, I guess the call-out system, things like that might be where that's coming from. The utility street, that's the street lights, just for the street lights still. That should go down, but it's best to keep it high. Street repairs, that number is based off of percentage of the 260,000. It's at 0.5%. So that number's just there. That number, every time you change the top number, that number will change. Street signs is street signs. Insurance is for all liabilities and things like that. We had a little accident last year, so I kind of helped that out a little bit because we had another one last night.
What happened last night?
They hit some tires. Didn't tear nothing up, but it scuffed.
Night watchman?
Scuffed the paint. That's in my report. Anyway, and then the tax appraisal cost us, it's probably going to go up because they, their prices, they've hired somebody over there. So, personal services, OJD, that's going to be for any of the engineering stuff we need for the wastewater plant, for the water system, for some of the stuff that we're going to have to change due to the TCEQ stuff with the outline.
That includes the application stuff that we're working on?
Well, no, some of that will be taken from the grant money itself.
Okay.
To do that, we discussed that earlier today too, so I'll let you know. I've got that on my list too. Legal fund, you never know. Audit was $5,800. We don't know if she's going to change the price or not, but I upped it a little.
Was we gonna stay with her, or
I
was
thought we were looking at somebody else.
Well, we were. And,
Are we still, or are we just on hold?
well, we'll have to have it on a meeting. And,
I don't think it's ever been brought up in other issues that come up.
Okay. Okay.
The contract labor, that is for our convenience center. I thought it needed to come out of general rather than come out of water and wastewater, because that's where it normally comes from.
Right.
But it's a general amount, so. The tools, that's basically stuff for out there or anything in here that we might need. that's general. And then we did most of the repairs of the building already, so in case something else happens, I put a little money in there. Same with capital outlay, which is another thing we can transfer back over into the water and wastewater, is that capital outlay of the 2,000 to go back into on Stonewall County. Now, here's another deal that I'll bring to your attention, and y'all can decide what you want to do. This $14,000 for the Stonewall County deputy, the reason it's $14,000 is because they gave him a pay increase. But, Johnny, I didn't realize this until Tammy brought it to my attention, is that we are paid in full to Stonewall County until October of next year.
Mm-hmm.
So that $14,000 we can leave there to do the same thing when it comes towards our next deal, or we can disperse it in amongst.
Yeah, because we were going to check for the year.
For the full amount?
Yeah, we did. I forgot about that, yeah.
And I did too when I budgeted in there.
Right.
But there's also we can lower that number and transfer it into the general, and that'll cover also Stonewall County. The pest control, that used to be in water and wastewater, and that's a general fund. So what we did, I talked to Ralph about it, is we can no longer be in the pest control business as far as the city goes. It costs way too much. We signed a deal with Orkin, and they'll come over here, and it costs $1,100 every time they fall.
They need to come on pretty quick, because Skeeter's about to carry it all.
We fall last Wednesday, and we will fall next Wednesday, every other week. So this is that's about 8 or 9 times worth of fogging is basically kind of what that comes into. We don't need to lower it. You know, if it's a bad year, if it's dry, it'll be low, but if it's wet, it won't be. It'll be higher because we'll have to fog more often. Election expenses, we'll have those coming up. There's your fire department, your ambulance, your golf course, and then I put park renovations, which we can also, if we don't use it there, we can slide it back over into the park for the playground fund at the end of this physical year, if we don't use it. And senior citizens, and then here's the deal with the EDC is they get 0.5% on one of them and percent on the other. So you take Sam told me this, you take the amount of the sales tax, you divide it by 8, and then you multiply it times 3 because you've got EDC and IDC. And that's the figure of the 97.5. The only way that number can go up and match what the IDC and EDC had in their budget is if we raise the $260,000, and I don't think we need to do that.
On the sales tax still, in the city, you need to pay 8.25 sales tax. The state gets 6.25. So there's 2% that comes to the city. The city retains 1%, actually 1.25. A quarter goes to street, 0.5% goes to EDC, and 1.25% goes to IDC.
Okay.
So that's where those figures, that's where that 97.5, and I thought, I looked at everything off our old deal, and it was 80.
They just had a meeting this morning, so they was changing some stuff up in there, so, but I think they can go back and change a few of that stuff.
So if we can add that to our agenda for next Monday, then if they change their number to match that 97.5, then it'll match and we'll be okay, and we'll have $139 difference in our budget. That's, I thought that looked good, $139. I could have expensed it out, but I thought it looked good there. Anyway.
Zero budgeting.
Well, I can. I can expense that
The only
$139.
question I have, what was it? I've already probably forgot it, for the Stonewall County deputy thing, I think maybe leave half of it in there
I
and
was thinking about that
it,
earlier.
just leave half of it in there and go ahead and switch the other off, and that will take care of the Stonewall Water District.
For this year, but in October, we're gonna be back to paying the full amount, October of next year.
Yeah.
For our next budget.
Well, that's what, but we'd already be half ahead
Well,
of what we leave in there.
I mean, that's, you'd be back in the same situation next fiscal year. You're still gonna have to
Well,
pay
yeah,
that
but-
$14,000.
I mean, we can use it this year, but we just need to be
And
aware
it would
next year,
probably
we're
need
gonna have to pay it.
remain in the general fund.
Well,
Yeah, if we take any of it, I would take just what we needed out of it.
Okay, and leave the rest
We
there?
wouldn't have to match anywhere
Okay,
else.
that's-
Anya said that she would give, she doesn't want us to pay early again. She said that she will send us a bill. And
You probably
it
messed
will-
all her stuff
It
up.
will, it did, well, they're gonna try to give raises next year for the deputies, is what she said their plan is to give them some raises. And so therefore, she'll send us a bill or an estimate in time for us to sit down and figure with our budget.
But if we leave most of that in there, if they do so happen to go ahead and elect to give them a raise this year, or this fiscal year, we'll have some in there in order to help with that as well. So we'll be covered in that.
They need to give them a raise. They ain't had a raise in, I don't think, the last 5 or 6 years.
They said they were trying to raise their county employees to be higher than what Dairy Queen is paying.
Yeah.
Because they are below, their wages are below what they're income.
The deputies bring home, what, $1,600, $1,700 a month?
Any questions or comments on the general fund budget?
I think so.
So to get it right, all you really want to do is, you want to transfer, just do a line item transfer from the general fund into water and wastewater of $1,500. I mean, $6,000.
Yeah,
Okay.
if that will work,
Yeah.
that way we don't have to change.
I'll go ahead and add it to figure of 1670, line on the water and wastewater. I'll add it to 6070 miscellaneous income / general.
Okay.
I'll add the 6,000 there.
And then increase
And then
6,000.
I'll increase it to, we may go ahead and do another line item on the cost of goods and separate,
That'd probably be
Rolling
best to
Plains
separate.
and
Stonewall County.
Stonewall County.
Yeah, have them separated.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I can do that.
We're gonna change a lot of things, we're gonna do, I mean, you know, the way it's been done, it's just been, what's been in the past. So now, we can actually go through and make,
That's part
break
of
it
the,
down.
And it'll be much easier when you have the line items.
What my plan is, what I talked to Sonny about is when we can bill in, I want him to look at it and for the first month and tell me where he wants that to come out of. Every supervisor or anybody else has their own opinion of how things are to be coded. But if he, so for this to work, he's gonna tell me where he wants it coded, then I know, and once it's there, then it automatically codes to that.
Yeah.
So then that way, it'll be easier.
Yeah, and then the end of next year, it'll be much easier for you to develop.
well, it's like we have a line item in our general budget, for, in water and wastewater, refuse. Refuse is its own part. It is a income. So you place your parks and you place your streets into that particular budget. Because what tears up your streets? A trash truck. So you use your revenue from that part of that as well in order to help go into that department. Then you know, because you already have $32,000 coming from taxes into that to start the budget. So we're going to do, that's some of the plans of getting all that. Then it won't be so hard to do these budgets.
Discussion. Anything else on the budget? Any questions, comments? Ready to move on, or y'all want to stay on that for another hour?
No.
No.
And I've already looked at the bills. I make the motion, we pay bills.
Stephanie makes a motion.
I'll second it.
Michael seconds.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We can't. We got to do it.
Oh, that's right. we
Any
did.
further discussion on the
You see,
bills?
you just trying to beat me.
No?
Any further discussion on the bills?
No, sir.
Okay. for, raise your hand. All against? Motion passes. Son.
I'm gonna try to make this real fast. We're talking about grant, we've done this over.
Okay.
Michael.
Gerald's here today. We discussed this grant that we've actually got funded for, $277,000. Our part is $13,000. Yes, it's in the budget. Also, what is signed, the grant was for the water tower several years ago. They're just now funding. So what we're trying to do now is, due to the other circumstances we've been facing, we're looking at replacing the pumps at rural, replacing the pumps at Old Glory, and replacing the pumps here in town. Also doing a 12-foot slip bore underneath the creek where we keep having the water leaks. That is costing us a fortune to keep messing with that. So either we have to fix it, which the estimate price on fixing that right now is about $4,500. If we do all the work plus a valve, which is another $1,200. Or if we can wait to get it included in this grant, they'll replace 300 foot, and then they'll go 12 foot underneath there, and that will eliminate that leak in the creek. Bottom also with valves on each side, so we don't have as much water loss.
Can we wait till see if the grant will pay for so many things?
Well, they just took it today, so we should find out something within a few days. And
On average, how much is it costing us right now?
to fix that water leak,
Including the leak and going over all the time?
probably about $1,500 a month. But the water leak we had up there last week, we was only 4.5 hours, and I'll be honest, 4 hours of that time was spent pumping water. 30 minutes, it's all it took to fix it. But it's right in the creek, we couldn't disperse the water. Part of our, in the budget is for another water pump because of that situation. We're just wearing our pumps out.
Well, I mean, like I said, if we don't hear nothing from this grant, we need to do something.
We'll have to fix it, and we'll put C900 across it, which means we'll high somebody to come in with a trencher so they can reach out for it and then dig across it, and we'll replace it as we go, and put it down. Probably 7 or 8 foot is about all we can probably go. So we'll be able to come back in case to fix it. It's already in a bad spot. So 12 foot's a limit is where we need to be, but we can't do that. That has to be hired out to do, and that's pretty high.
Well, I seen that Arville's bill was like $500. Is that about? Would that be something? Is this gonna be further than that or longer?
The bill for him will probably be about the same. The pipe is going to be $2,800 just for the pipe. The valve is $1,200, and then you just keep your mega lugs and all the stuff you have to add to it. A minimum of $5,000 to fix that right now. But where it would not be.
So we need to wait. We need to hope for this grant to pay for some of it.
Yeah. I've tried to do what we're talking about. I've tried to do the 6-inch. We have 8-inch pipe. I've tried to use it as casing and slip the poly pipe into it and then fuse it on each side. We need to go there. That was just a little expensive. Plus, it would reduce our size of pipe from 8-inch to 6-inch, no matter what.
Okay.
And we can't do that.
Okay.
That was that deal. Had a little fender bender, or I guess fender scratch this morning.
Same person?
No, different person. One of the other ones. Anyway, she did call me. She's going to try to come in and do a report on it, and it's put rubber marks on the side of the truck, right around the bottom.
Was it it's just tires?
Yeah, she wasn't paying attention. It cut too sharp over here. Broke his spoke. And then I just told her she needed to get more sleep. Which does bring us up to the discussion of that part. The trying to fund another deputy, which would actually be the city paying another deputy's deal, and then use them as our night watch, and also enter into an interlocal agreement for our ordinances and all these things has been tabled by the Commissioners Court, and really don't see that it's probably going to come back up again for just some different reasons. So, puts us into the situation of what we as a city want to do with that particular deal. This is, it's only a discussion. I have some ideas that I think might work, and it also still be beneficial to the residents of the city. When the night watch was established, it was established due to some insurance purposes that no longer exist. It does not help anybody's insurance rate for us to have a night watch. It doesn't help our insurance rate that we have a sheriff's department. All that's gone. But that is the particular reason why the night watch was developed in the first place. We do have to take into consideration our liabilities of having that night watch. It's getting to a point where we might need to think about doing some changes in that particular department that we have. One of the thoughts that I was having was actually reducing it just a little. Instead of having it every night, have it mostly during the weekends to help out the sheriff's department. Because the city has to tie in and where we're called out for these low pressure deals when the tower gets low, when the storage tanks get low, we've already had to put those funds in place in order for us to get to that point, whether we have a night watch or not. But that does eliminate having to depend on them to know where we are on our water pressure. That was kind of one of the things that I've been contemplating on that deal, is going to one person rather than two. Just things like that. If y'all have some ideas on what y'all think. I believe that out of the two employees that fill those positions, I have my opinions of each individual. I have a choice. If I had the choice to choose one, I would. And then that would also reduce any of the possibilities because they are older and we are taxing a little more on them by getting out and checking these businesses and doing things like that. And we have to understand that if they fall, we're going to be held responsible. And so the liability issues are there as well. I think we finally got it across that they are not police officers. They are not licensed to patrol. They're only out to watch. And anytime they come across something, they're only supposed to make a phone call. So that's something I'd like to entertain for maybe to address at our next regular meeting, is maybe making some changes.
Well, I'll go ahead and put my 2 cents in. We're not going to get to be able to do the sheriff's office. I want to keep them. So, I just think it makes the citizens feel a lot better, safer. And I understand the liability. I just maybe make them aware of the liability. Maybe, I don't know, that makes a lot of sense. Like I said, sometimes I'm simple thinking, to sign a clause, a liability clause. I don't know if that would even be legal. You can't do that. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't have a
Going to
clue.
work and sign the deal, say if I get hurt here, I'm not.
True, okay. Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm just,
Would you, you'd like for your employees to sign that though, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to think of ways that, that with any safety reasons or anything, but I just.
Some of the way I come up with this is because, talking to your husband, is the deputy that's on call at night patrols the city anyway.
Right.
But usually on weekends, he's a little further out. And that was the reason I thought maybe, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we do have a night watch for that particular, for every Friday, Saturday, Sunday type situation rather than.
I would go right the opposite. I would go right the opposite. I would go, I'm sorry, go ahead.
There would still be somebody at all times.
Let's see, they're out late on Friday and Saturday nights. I'd go right the opposite and just have them work Monday through or Sunday through Monday, Sunday through Thursday, because your deputy's gonna be out Friday and Saturday late.
He's gonna be busy doing other, that's why I think he's gonna
Yeah.
be busy doing other policeman duties.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but they're out late, I mean, they stay out till 3 o'clock, I think is what they have to stay out to, you know, and then, but they don't have to stay out till, like, what is it, 10 or 11 o'clock unless they get called out on Sunday through Thursday. So that would be when you would want your the night watchman's out, because they would be somebody out, you know, if something did happen, they could call it in. I mean, you know, yeah, but you know, you've got the deputy in the and the highway patrolman's out on the weekends mostly, late at night. So you've got plenty of coverage on the weekends.
So
It's-
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
Well,
something like that.
Sunday through Thursday, I would think, would be a good time.
And I think that you're gonna face a lot of public outcry if you don't have the night watch.
I know, it's just,
I know that too.
yeah, I mean, it's just so, it makes the older people that's leaving, that's coming in from the little senior dance and the nursing home people, you know, it makes them feel a little bit comfortable, and it just.
Half them seniors that come out that old board dance ain't gonna have a worry for.
Well, I mean, just in the ladies that go somewhere at night and they're having to get
A
into
lot of
their
our
house.
elderly, just for the fact that they
They
have
see it
somebody
go by.
around, yeah.
They see it go by, and it just makes them feel. Are you through? I'm through.
Apple? Who's
Second.
Who's second?
That's me, I was waiting for you.
I'm through, I just had to make a